Good evening, or if you're watching this rebroadcast, good morning or afternoon or whenever. I'm Colleen Feige. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Edina, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here to hear from Dr. Stacy Stanley, the new superintendent of the Edina Public Schools. Dr. Stanley's been our superintendent since July 1st, but she has a large background in education, having been a teacher and curriculum and principal and associate superintendent, and she came to us from Eden Prairie, and we are very happy to have you with us. Thank you so much. She's also an author and a professor, teaching people how to be in school administration now, so we really appreciate that. Just a couple words about the League. We are a nonprofit, but nonpartisan nonprofit organization, but we work to grow, empower, and protect the vote. And I want to read something to you that we just developed. The League of Women Voters, Edina, is fully committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in principle and in practice. DEI is central to LWV Edina's success in engaging all individuals, households, communities, and policymakers in creating a more perfect democracy. To advance DEI in our organization and community, LWV Edina will work to increase diversity in our membership and leadership, prioritize equity in our processes and operations, promote inclusion by eliminating barriers to participation, and advocate and participate in local action to eradicate discrimination and systemic racism. So we are with the community to make it a more welcoming and better community for all. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce you. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Hello, Edina. I'm really glad I'm finally talking to you and truly speaking with you. But how apropos that we are at the point of, she's muted. It's so perfect for this time. I am delighted to be able to talk with you about our school and the great things that are happening within our school. And thank you, even on a rainy night from home. Hopefully you're by a fireplace or something like that. Thank you for joining me. And thank you to those who are in the room who actually came out and endured the weather. I truly appreciate it. So again, my name is Stacy Stanley, and I am the superintendent of Edina Public Schools, something I am incredibly proud of. I've been here since July 1st, have had the opportunity to meet with so many individuals in the community, proudly joined AM Rotary, and am a proud member of the Chamber Board, and just having a delightful time. Our kids are doing well. I want to say to you first, our kids are doing well. They have been in school since August 30th. Our goal was for our kids to be in person with limited disruptions, and for the most part, we've been able to have our kids in school learning in person with really limited quarantine. We started vaccinations for our 5 through 11-year-olds yesterday. 200 students were vaccinated yesterday. Our high school vaccinations are up to, as of November 1st, we had 80.34 high schoolers fully vaccinated. We had, I think it's about just about 73% of our middle schoolers fully vaccinated. Now, again, those vaccinations that occurred yesterday, they will not be tabulated and put out on our COVID dashboard until the students are fully vaccinated. But we are just really excited because we know that that means that there is a greater likelihood that we are not going to have a disruption for learning within our schools. So thank you to everybody for that. Please go to our website, go on to the family dashboard, and you will be able to find out where those vaccination clinics are if you haven't gotten that information already. So I am really excited to share with you some great things that I have learned about the district, and I think that it's important for everyone in our community to learn about. So we're going to go ahead and get the slide deck started so that everyone can see that. Thank you so much. So first of all, our vision for Edina Public Schools is that each and every student would discover their possibilities and thrive. And when you think about thriving, that doesn't mean that you're just going to school and you're doing well, you're earning A's. That means that you are finding your passions and you're living out your passions in school. And yes, that can happen in school. I know for me, I did well in school. I don't know that I would have considered myself to be thriving because I found some things I liked, but not necessarily those things that I was passionate about. And that is what we want for our children in Edina Public Schools. Many of you know who are watching, and those who don't, it is important for you to know that we have 6 core values. We believe in integrity. Integrity means following through on what you say you're going to do, right? We believe in compassion. We believe in really working to try to understand the perspective that another person is bringing to the table and honoring that. We believe in courage. You know, there was nothing like COVID-19 to place us in the position to have courage to make decisions that, you know, not everyone was going to be excited about, and at the same time making certain that we were keeping our children well, our staff well, and overall our community well. We believe in commitment. We are here steadfast through the pandemic to make certain that we're supporting the entire community. And when I say entire community, I know that I've been out and about in the community. I've been shopping at Jerry's, and I've had grandmas and grandpas come up and talk to me about the impact on their grandchildren. So when I say community, I know that it is not just our parents, our students, our teachers, but it is aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas. We believe in appreciation. I sent a video out to our families and our staff last week that said November is the month of gratitude, and I have so many things to be grateful for. I am incredibly grateful for the commitment of our staff, of our administrators in learning to teach and to lead in a different way, different than it's ever been done before. And then responsibility. We work with our students to talk about responsibility. We work with them to really understand that their actions, for every one of their actions, there is a reaction, and that they do have it within themselves to be responsible. And so those are our 6 core values. We also have a set of 8 core beliefs, and it was fascinating to listen to Colleen talking about their focus in League of Women Voters, because some of our core beliefs really begin to align. It is no surprise that our first core belief is about academic excellence. Edina has been known for academic excellence for as long as I can remember. I am a 4th generation Minnesotan. My great-grandparents migrated to Minnesota on my mother's side from Mahia, Texas. And I grew up in St. Paul, but I will tell you, even in St. Paul, we knew about the excellence in Edina Public Schools. We believe that each student deserves access to high academic rigor that is going to challenge them, stretch them, cause them to think outside of the box. We believe in equity. We believe that our responsibility is to remove barriers for each and every one of our students. I like to say to open doors to what students may not have even expected to be an opportunity for them. Of course, we believe in family, school, and community collaboration, whether it is our lunch program right now. During the fall, I was grateful for all of the solid weather that we had as well. because to ensure that students were able to socially distance, our students ate outside for lunch. And we could not have done that in our elementary schools without the partnership and collaboration from all of our family members across the community. And again, it was certainly moms and dads, but I know that I met a lot of grandmas and grandpas and aunts and uncles and even older siblings who were locally in college, but they were coming to take a shift. And so truly appreciate that partnership. We know with that partnership and that dynamic support, our students are going to be able to thrive. We also believe in a healthy learning environment. And I think healthy learning environment was incredibly important all the time, but certainly during COVID times. We've come to realize that the whole child really wrapping around and making certain that they feel safe to express their views, that they feel safe to have that free exchange of ideas in a classroom, and that is what we are promoting. We're promoting critical thinkers within our district. A couple of weeks ago, on October 15th, we partnered with the Chamber to offer, to hold a business roundtable. And we had about 40 businesses that joined us. And they went through a series of collective activities and talking with one another. We wanted to find out if the direction that we're going in the district is what they're looking for within their businesses, because ultimately we want to make sure that our students are ready to be successful within the workplace in the variety of industries. And what we heard loud and clear is yes, critical thinking is so important. Make certain that your students are able to collaborate with one another, that they have strong communication skills. We are looking for students who are going to think outside of the box, they told us, so that creativity is so important. And all of that is encompassed in a healthy learning environment within our schools. We also believe in inclusion, and I have said this, if you are a PTO member, you've probably heard me say this a few times as I've been out speaking with PTOs. But as I sought to determine whether or not Edina Public Schools would be a good fit, would be a good match, I got out on the website and I just scoured it. And I came across the strategic plan. And I have to tell you that when I saw the core belief of inclusion, but mostly saying that we believe that each person has inherent dignity, that sealed the deal. You know, when you have inherent dignity, that means that you're born with dignity. That means that we expect each and every student and each and every adult in our system to thrive, to be excited about working and about learning. Those life skills that I just talked about is another one of our core beliefs: critical thinking, collaboration, the ability to communicate, really being creative, thinking outside of the box. Businesses want problem solvers. That's why they hire us. They hire us to solve problems, and that's what we are preparing our students in Edina Public Schools to do. Another thing that's incredibly important is operational excellence. So, I am proud and grateful for the 3 previous superintendents who came before me. I know Ken, I know Rick, and I know John really well. I believe that it's important for current leaders to really connect with prior leaders, to connect history with the present. And they did an incredible job of making certain that we were fiscally solvent, and I appreciate that. And I will do the same. I can promise the community that I am currently do and will continue to use your taxpayer dollars well. And then finally, professional excellence. As I went around this summer and I was speaking with community members, I had a few questions that I asked, and one of them I asked is, what do I need to know about Edina Public Schools as I transition in? And bar none, number one thing that I was told is, Dr. Stanley, you have amazing staff. You have the best staff in the state. You have the most amazing teachers. And I've been out in classrooms. I've probably been in over 100, maybe closer to 200 classrooms since the school year started. And I see that. We do have amazing, amazing educators who care, who really strive to make certain that our students are highly engaged in rigorous learning. And to do that, though, we strive for professional excellence. And so we need to sow into our teachers. We need to make certain that our teachers have all the training that they need in order to be successful in our 21st century classroom. So that is our final core belief. We believe in professional excellence. Now, this is the time that every superintendent loves because I get to brag about our district. So, our high school, year over year over year, since 2019, has been ranked the #1 best college prep high school in Minnesota. Now, the most incredible thing about that is there are over 1,280 high schools in the state of Minnesota, and we are #1. We are incredibly proud about that. Andy, Principal Beaton, talks about that, and he says it's his teachers, it's his counselors. I know that high quality community comes and starts with leadership, and so I'm grateful for Principal Beaton. We are also ranked the #2 best STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math high school in the state of Minnesota. I am pretty competitive, and so I'm ready to be #1 STEM high school, but I will accept #2 for now because it's pretty exciting. We have an overall A+ rating on niche, and you know, niche is the space that families who are moving to Minnesota, maybe they're transferring for work, they go to niche to find out what community is the best community to move to, what community has the best schools, and we have an A+ overall rating. Incredibly proud about that. Our high school is ranked in the top 5 for Minnesota public high schools, and it's ranked in the top 500 for the best high schools in America, in the entire United States for STEM. So that is something that we are incredibly proud of as well. I mentioned that finances and quality finances, being a good steward, is incredibly important to me. Was certainly important to my predecessors, and I noted a few weeks ago when I connected with families that we once again received the AAA rating from Moody's. We are one of 3 districts in the state, and what that means is we are getting the best interest rates on the bonds. Thank you to everyone who voted for the tech levy this past spring. We really, truly appreciate that. There are some highlights here. Normandale earned the Quality Seal from the French Ministry in 2020. And then we have, bar none, the best special education program. Our unified program is just incredible and something to be proud of. Our students are in the classroom and learning right along with their differing ability peers, and that is building incredible relationships. I spoke with a student at the U of M last week, and she is an Edina graduate, and she said what caused her to go into teaching was her experiences with our unified classrooms through special education, and so really excited about that. I've said before, our staff is bar none, and 90% of our staff have a master's degree. That is almost unbelievable. 58% of our staff have been working in our schools for 10 years or more, and that's really important because during this time of the pandemic, our teachers have had to be agile, to really be flexible and to turn on a dime. And to do that, you have to have a sound foundation in instructional practices, a sound foundation in your content area. And the fact that nearly 6 in 10 of our teachers have been in our schools for more than 10 years, that makes a difference for the learning for our students. We have had so many educators and leaders within our system receive various honors. One of our biology teachers was named Educator of Distinction by the National Society of High School Scholars. Our orchestra and our band is bar none. If you have not had the opportunity to get out recently, we have an orchestra concert coming up. I believe it's on the 18th in the evening, so I encourage you to attend that orchestra concert. We have teachers who are Fulbrights. We have teachers who are published, their music teacher whose work was published in the Oxford University Press. Our high school principal was knighted. Not our high school principal. Our Normandale principal was knighted. How many school districts actually have a principal who was a knight? Our economics teacher, we held our National Merit Scholarship banquet the other night, and it was really great to see our economics teacher honored by student after student after student. They said, he's the one that got me and kept me interested in finance. He's the one that really kept me interested in school, and it was just so great to see him honored. We had 25 National Merit finalists in 2021. That is something to be incredibly, incredibly proud of. AP, Edina was one, I believe, if not the first, one of the first schools to really dig into and start offering AP. And we continue to offer that. We had nearly 1,200 students take AP tests. Nearly 90% of them, or 9 in 10, earned a 3+ score on that test. And that's important because you need a 3 or higher to earn college credit. And we have 9 out of 10 of our students earning college credit by scoring 3 or higher on the AP College Board exams. We had nearly 350 scholars who had a GPA of 3.5 or higher since 9th grade, so not just in 12th grade, but all the way through. And we had 139 graduates who earned their bilingual, multilingual seal for language proficiency. That is really important because when they go off to college, when you have that bilingual seal, when you have that multilingual seal, you do not have to take those credits in those courses in college. It opens it up to taking courses, other courses that you're interested in. And quite honestly, college is really expensive right now. And that saves them a multitude of money, saves family money when they are taking courses when they're in college. Our graduates last year went to 189 different colleges and universities. 87% attend 4-year colleges and universities, mostly public. We have many who are in private. Just over 37% stay here in Minnesota, and the vast majority are out of state. And we know what a great experience that can be to attend college out of state. It really helps with maturity, that's for sure. We also had students who attended technical and community colleges. We have some students who took a gap year, and we had a few students who went into service. And when you think about tomorrow being Veterans Day, that is something for us to be very proud of as well. Our Early Learning Center is where all of this begins. Oftentimes we talk about our high school, we'll talk about our elementaries and our middle schools. Our Early Learning Center is where all of this begins. We have a 4-star rating, and what that means is when families go to the organization that recommends early learning centers, they say Edina is top because we have that 4-star rating. We use a pyramid model for promoting healthy relationships, social emotional well-being. Every one of our teachers is trained We've had a grant for 5 years. If you've never been in to see the little people, it is just an incredible experience to go down. I call them my littlest hornets. And so I go down to visit those classrooms, and I'm so proud of them and our teachers. We have an early childhood special education program that really sets our students up to be prepared to go into any of our elementary schools. And there's that ongoing collaboration, right, between preschool and our kindergarten teachers to make certain that our students are prepared to just easily transition into any one of our middle schools, or I'm sorry, any one of our elementary schools. The high school has so much to offer. Over 140 courses, opportunities for post-secondary enrollment, so you can get some college credits while you're in school. We have students who are traveling. We have students who are involved in Rotary. We have students who are deeply involved in engineering, robotics. We have so many AP courses. We have enriched courses. Students can take courses in 5 different languages in our high school. I mean, there are so many opportunities for our students to thrive in our high school, and it's something that we have to be really proud of in our community, because that just doesn't happen everywhere. And I just want to shout that to the mountaintops about the opportunities that our students have. You know, one of our strategic plan areas focuses on really focusing on the whole child. Academics is incredibly important, and again, we are so proud of that and will always be, and we know that it's important to have that balance there. 84% of our students at the high school are engaged in one or more extracurricular activities. Really allows them to dig into what their interests and their passions are to prepare them as they get ready to go out into the world beyond our 4 walls of Edina. 1 in 3 is involved in one or more leadership roles. As a matter of fact, I was talking this evening about with someone about all of the service learning opportunities that our students have. We have so many state championships. Just this week, we had more champions that were identified in cross country and in girls soccer, so we're really proud of that. We have more than 15 youth service youth groups that are based on leadership, community service, and social awareness. So there are so many opportunities in our high school for our students to thrive. Now I'm going to take it out a little bit wider, and I'm going to talk about just our district overall. 9 out of 10 of our parents say that our schools are good or better than they were 3 years ago. More than 80% give our teachers, our principals, our administration, and our school board of directors a favorable job performance rating. This is incredibly important because these survey results are from January 2021. And you'll remember, if you think back 11 months ago, that was a really tough time for schools. I can remember as a leader, I had just sent off, 8,000 students where I was at into distance learning. And number one, it was courageous to even conduct a survey at that time within the district, because most would not have, because it was a tenuous time at best. And number two, to receive that type of rating during that time that was just tumultuous is pretty incredible. And 82% of our parents say they are proud their students are enrolled. They're proud that their students are Hornets within our system. And not only that, but they would recommend our school system to anyone else. And that is the best compliment that you can have. Not only are your students in the school, but also we would recommend that you come and join that Edina family in the school. So just incredibly proud about that. We passed a tech levy last May, and I was watching from afar. I had just gotten hired. I hadn't really started yet, and I was watching from afar to see if that would pass, and it went through. And what is incredible, the bang that we get for that taxpayer dollar is pretty incredible. You'll see here on the screen that we are right in the middle for our spending around technology, and yet at the elementary schools we have a 1-to-2 ratio. So for every student there's a 1-to-2 ratio for iPad. When you get into the middle and the high school, there's a 1-to-1 ratio. They have their own device, and that is so important. That is what helped us to be successful during the pandemic, that we were already prepared ahead of time with having those aspects in place, and the referenda has put us in a place, the successful passing of the levy has put us in a position where we will be prepared for several years to come. And so again, thank you for the community support about that. That levy passed at 70%, and I always say that the level that a levy or a bond referenda passes really speaks to how well a district is doing. And to say that 70% of those who voted in favor of supporting the schools is just something for us to just continue to be really proud of. We thank you, and again, we will take care of the taxpayer dollar as well. We are also really proud of our partnerships with the Edina Education Fund last year. Edina Education Fund funded $455,071, and I love this, 69 cents to our schools in a myriad of areas, really partnering with us on mental health, really partnering with us on the tutoring support that we needed for students last year as they were home in virtual or distance learning. And also Edina Give and Go. Edina Give and Go is that organization that is there to support the 10% of our students who live in homes with much lesser means. And last year, their donations of $238,000 made a significant difference, while there were families in other districts where they had to rely on maybe the next door neighbor helping their child with some math, or they needed to rely on the student who lived down the street to help their child with writing and things like that. Our kids didn't. Our kids had the exact same access to the high quality tutors that our families who have more means, greater means, have. Our students with lesser means had the access and received tutoring support at that same level. When I met with Christina this summer, I was absolutely thrilled and honestly blown away for those resources that are available to our students who qualify for free or reduced price meals, and forever grateful for that. I'm going to put a little plug in for Edina Education Fund. The Cake-Off is coming. It is on November 19th. And then for the Edina Give and Go, Give to the Max Day is on the 18th. And for either one of those organizations, if you decide to donate, you are guaranteed that you are going to get everything out of that dollar. So thank you for that. And what a best way to end is with a picture of our marching band. They are absolutely stellar. If you didn't get out to football games this fall, you missed something for sure, because their precision on the field is phenomenal, and just so incredibly proud to say that I lead in a district that has such amazing things going on. So we have some time for questions. And so if there's anyone here in the room or anyone, okay.
Yeah, I'll ask the questions. We've been collecting them over here. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that presentation. And it's nice, as the parent of kids that went to Edina schools, it's nice to hear things are still going very well. So thank you for continuing that leadership. The first question, question we have is, how do you feel about the fact that Edina Public Schools can pass referendum with ease while less wealthy districts struggle to do so?
Yeah, so, that is, as I said, it is really important to have a community that supports its school system. Now, I will say as a principal, I served in 2 different elementary schools. I served in one elementary school where very high-performing students, affluent families, families where we had no problem raising monies to put in what then was expensive, $56,000 playground. That was expensive back then. And then I transitioned to one of our schools where 90% of my students qualified for free reduced price meals, and every other student was a multilingual learner, actually 53%, mostly newcomers to the country. They were members of the Karen community, mostly. And it certainly makes a difference with funding. I think that part of our role as superintendents, and we do certainly work with the Association for Metropolitan School Districts to really build that platform for advocacy, for funding, for all school districts. And so I believe I am a both and person. Anybody who knows me knows that. And so I have to be grateful for the contributions that our community gives to us, and I believe it is also the responsibility to be out there and involved in different committees and groups as a superintendent to make sure that all children are able to experience that.
Thank you. Another question that we have. As a resident with no children in the schools, I'd like to know your plan for addressing the achievement gap.
Oh, that is a great question. Well, first of all, what I'm going to start with is to say we are uniquely positioned to eliminate our achievement gap. Not easily, but it shouldn't take us very long. As a principal and as a district director and associate superintendent, I had the opportunity to see that happen, right? So as a principal, I watched our teachers work collectively together and use data in my first school where we cut the achievement gap in half in 1 year in reading. I focus on literacy a lot because I say that literacy is the currency of power in the United States, anywhere and for sure in the United States. And so I know that that can happen. I know what it looks like. I know what it takes. It takes using data. It takes just a laser-like focus and staying on top of that data and students' performance. As a district director, I moved into a different district where that achievement gap was growing at a pace of 2 to 3 percentage points each year. And in 4 years, we had eliminated the growth and we had started to cut into the reduction of that achievement gap. Again, the recipe is the use of data. It is the use of using that data in a laser-like focus immediately to help students. And then in the district that I just came from, in the year of a pandemic, we were able to eliminate. We worked on that for several years, but even during the year of a pandemic, we were able to eliminate the achievement gap for our third graders in reading. And third grade reading is pivotal because that is the point where students transition from learning to read to reading to learn. I think it takes the experience of actually seeing that happen to believe that it can happen. You know, No Child Left Behind came in 1999, and imagine if 22 years later, as an educator or as a principal, you had never had the opportunity to experience that gap closing. That can be really defeating. And I know with our Director of Teaching and Learning, Jody D. St. Hubert, and the Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning, Bethany Van Osdale. They are the partnership that is going to guide us in the use of the data to get us there. I just have no doubt in that.
Thank you. This is a little bit different, but you have written books about women in leadership. And the question was raised, what qualities do you think best prepare a woman for educational leadership?
So I did. Oh my gosh, that is my other passion, women in executive leadership. And two of my dear friends, colleagues, mentors, and I did some research, ended up writing a book about this. And the number one quality that helps us, believe it or not, is self-confidence. One of the reasons why we as women do not end up, or it takes us longer to move into leadership, is because we just don't have the confidence. We have to believe in ourselves, we have to believe in our skill set, we have to understand that our skill set is different than our male colleagues' skill set, and it allows us to just connect and communicate with families in a different way than our male colleagues do. I'm not saying they can't, they do connect, we just connect differently. The other thing that I would say is being purposeful and being exacting in all of the training that you're getting if you want to move into, whether it's principalship, associate principalship, director, superintendency. Really be thoughtful about the experiences that you garner. That is so important. And then find not just the mentor, not just someone who is going to show you the ropes, who's going to help you, but find that sponsor. A sponsor is someone who will pick up the phone, who will send the email, who will say, I really know this person and they are going to be great for your system, and this is why they're going to be great. And so I need you to interview them, or I encourage you to interview them. I like to tell a story. I was hiring an AP in one of our districts, and I received an email from a male advocating for another male candidate. And the email read, I implore you to interview this candidate. And wherever I speak, when I'm talking about women in leadership, I say, we have to start writing the letters for female candidates that say, I implore you to interview this candidate. We have to do that. And then I'll just say one more thing. Finally, it's important for us to lift one another up as women in the profession. 77% of teachers are female, and yet when you look nationally, only I think now we're up to 31% of superintendents are female. In the state of Minnesota, there are over 1,300 issued, or just about 1,300 issued superintendent's licenses. Over half of those are held by women, right? And a few years back, it's probably changed. I was hired, a couple other women were hired. But a few years back, only 16% of the superintendents in the state of Minnesota were women. And so we have to lift one another up and really, partner and pull that that person who's interested in being a candidate in leadership up alongside and help them.
Thank you. Here's a question. How can Edina residents advocate for excellent schools throughout Minnesota, regardless of the tax base? It's looking more broadly.
Yeah. Again, I am involved with an organization called the Association for Metropolitan School Districts, and we have a platform related to education. I heard Colleen talk earlier, League of Women Voters, they have a platform, and one of their prongs is K-12 education. Get involved, find out where your place can be where it comes to legislation, whether it's writing letters, whether it's being involved in a community association, really get involved in League of Women Voters to make sure that your voice can be heard. And the more people who are out there and they're advocating for our students across the state, the more likely that we are going to have a more equitable structure for all of our students.
Thank you. Another comment and question, a comment, I guess. My neighbors left Edina schools because their high achievers' needs were not being met. And this goes on to say, does EHS have AP classes? And you already addressed that. But what are they doing about students leaving? That's come up.
Yeah, that came up quite a bit when I was out and about meeting with people in my first 90 days. I heard loud and clear that we need to check back in with folks who are leaving our system to find out why they're leaving our system. I will say this, prior to my tenure, our assistant superintendent, Dr. Randy Smazel, and our gifted and talented coordinator, Deb, they work to develop what's called a talent development framework. And it's really designed to identify students very early on for their talents that they offer. Students are able to take, in the middle school, take a course that is what we call compacts. So it takes all of the coursework that you take in a year and it compacts it into a semester so that students can accelerate through courses so that they can be challenged. Again, at our high school, we have the many AP courses, we have enriched courses, and so I think the key is to make certain that we are connecting with our families and finding out when they aren't satisfied so that we can keep them here. I have worked in high-performing districts, and still, I think that Edina, and I'm not just saying this because I'm superintendent, what we have to offer at our high school is bar none some of the best courses that are available, as evidenced by us being ranked #1 for college preparedness.
Thank you. Dyslexia, this is more specific. Dyslexia seems to be on the rise in elementary school students. What method of reading instruction is used in K through 3?
Yeah, well, because of our strategic plan, we actually launched this year a comprehensive literacy plan. Director DeSaint Hubert is leading those efforts along with our Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning, Bethany Van Osdale. In the first month of school, we did what's critical. In addition to the actual resource that you're using, we did what was critical, and we screened 5,000 K-8 students within the first month. Screening means we were able to determine where their reading level was at. For those of you who are watching who may have remembered dyslexia from many years ago, the thought was it was, students would turn letters backwards and things like that. But we have come to understand that dyslexia simply means, even though it isn't simple, but simply means difficulty with reading. Reading is a pretty sequential process. Students need to develop their phonemic awareness. They need to understand their sounds and how they blend together. They need to be able to decode fluency. The rate that they read impacts their comprehension, and then of course they need strong comprehension skills. And so we are using all of the knowledge around the use of data, around screening, and around building on those pillars of reading in order to work with dyslexia. We have partnered with the Minnesota Department of Education in getting our teachers trained in LETTERS, which is an acronym, and basically it is helping to teach our teachers the science of reading and how students read and how the brain works. People would think that that is what's taught in higher ed programs, and it just isn't. I sit on one of our local universities. I sit on their Department of Education, on their board, and we're getting there, but we still haven't arrived at the higher ed level. And so we have more work to do, and so we're providing that training for our teachers. Our curriculum is designed to make certain that if a student was screened and they need decoding support, our teachers are providing that specific support and with a laser-like focus so that students are getting what they need.
And the League of Women Voters, as you mentioned, has a position on education. And one thing that it says, is that LWV Edina supports school district boundaries which coincide with city limitations. And I'm bringing this question to you because a friend of mine has a daughter that lives in Edina, and she said, be sure you vote in the school board election. But she lives in the Hopkins School District. And my friend said, what can we do to change that? And I said, well, that's been a long process, but I'd like your what you've observed in your short time in the district. Thank you.
Yeah, I have come across families who say that. They say, oh, Dr. Stanley, I purchased my house because it said that it was within the Edina boundaries. And sure enough, I'm in the Hopkins School District. And, it's complex, right? I'm confident if I went to speak with Superintendent Dr. Rhoda Mary Prairie Reed, she probably isn't interested in giving most students up in that, that area of the city up. Or if I spoke with Superintendent Unowski in Richfield, he probably isn't incredibly excited about, moving those boundaries either. I think what's most important is, we do have open enrollment opportunities across the state, that is state legislation, and that provides an opportunity for families to still, if they live in the city of Edina, it still allows them to open enroll and have their kids within the school system.
Well, I think that has wrapped up all of our questions.
Okay.
Let me just come around and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening and for watching, and thank you for your questions. And just really excited to continue our work in Edina Public Schools.
And we're very excited to have you with us. And I have to say, as a former school board member, when we put a lot of money in a referendum to build the EPAC and science and tech. A lot of that was put into that. That was a referendum in 2004, thereabouts. I'm not sure the exact year. But when you say what's happening with STEM, STEAM, and so forth, it's really nice to hear something that we did nearly 20 years ago is paying off. So I think everybody should kind of keep that in mind when they see those referendums for technology or whatever, that the Edina does spend the money wisely, and it has results to show for it. So thank you very much, and good luck with your new position. We'll look forward to partnering with you as well.
Thanwant you.
And also, I want to thank her because she and Andy Beaton and Mike Protaski were very instrumental in having the student-led forum for the school board candidates. It was with the debate team and the League of Women Voters board member who's a student, and it was very well received, and thank you very much for that support.
Absolutely.
So everyone, have a good evening or day, whatever, and thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.